I'm going to tell you 5 ways that you can increase the profits of your business without having to touch your price. If you don't know me, my name is Morgan Whalen. I'm here at MTCS. I'm a fractional CFO for tons of small business owners, and I help them better understand their numbers, to make better decisions, to make more money, and to have a greater impact in the community. I'm going to jump into these 5, and if you stick around, I'll give you a bonus 6. So let's jump right in. To think about anything else that we can touch besides price, we have to know the fundamentals or how everything breaks down. You have dollars coming in exchange for a good or service. And so that good or service costs you so much money. And that cost is usually broken up into labor, and that's usually material as well. Labor, you could break that down even farther, or we can just keep on going. There's dollars, there's hours. And so you're gonna have all these different things that make up the costs of you providing the good or the service to the customer. And so as we're looking at this, the first thing we wanna look at is labor, because labor is usually the biggest item on your expenses. We wanna see who's worth the most and who's worth the least amount, and try to rearrange some tasks if possible. What do I mean by that? Well, let me give you a perfect example. If you ever go get your teeth cleaned, in a office, you have a doctor, you have a hygienist, and then you have your support. And so the doctor is getting paid a lot, the hygienist is getting paid decent, and then the support is usually not getting paid that much. And so if you ever look at a doctor's office, they have this set up perfectly to where it's most efficient for the doctor's time. Meaning their hours are worth the most, so they're gonna build everyone else's schedule around that, because the doctor's only gonna spend a minute at this bay, then go over here and spend 2 minutes with that person, and then look at charts with that person. This doctor's fractionalized and bounces around the entire room the whole time. Same thing more or less with the hygienist. Anything that can be done by a support or an admin will be done because it's cost less, and so then the hygienist is only left to cleaning the teeth. So at the end of the day, the doctor's only doing he can only or she can only do. The hygienist is only doing what they can only do, and then everything else is being done by the support. The same thing can be done in your business. Look at on your teams who costs the most, who costs the least, and see if you can delegate some of those tasks that were meant for the highest person on your team to the lowest person, or maybe bring on someone who's an admin that you can then share some of the administrative tasks. So that's the first one, is to make sure that you have a good understanding of what tasks are being done by who and how you can make that more efficient. And so the next thing that we want to look at is the types of jobs that you're doing. So let's say that you run an interior remodeling company and you do kitchens, bathrooms, and floors. We're going to take averages here. So your average kitchen is a $30K job, $20K for baths, and $10K for floors. On the surface, it looks like kitchens would make the most sense, because the kitchen, you're getting $30,000 a pop. So you're gonna get the most revenue by doing the kitchens. But at the end of the day, it's not so much about revenue, it's more about profit. So what's the profit left over for these? Now I'm just gonna give some examples here. Let's say for the kitchen, you get 5K in profit. For the bathrooms, you get 8K. And for floors, you get 2K. So which one should you be taking more of? Well, now it makes more sense to go with the bathrooms, because you're getting more per bathroom project that you do than you would with a kitchen project. Number 2 is to look at all the projects that you're doing. It could also be, you can apply this to customers, look at all the customers that you're serving and see which ones are giving you the best margin, which ones are giving you the most profit for your time spent. So sticking with the same example between the kitchen, the bathroom, and the flooring, the third component that we need to look at is timing. Because you're gonna say, well, okay, we looked at the labor and what went into doing the project and how we can maybe rearrange some of that time. We looked at how much profit you're currently getting. But what about the time? So let's just say a kitchen remodel takes 3 days. The bathroom takes 2, and a floor does 1 day, okay? And so if that's the case, if we ran this out over a period of time, let's say 30 days, where would we be at if we only did just one of these types of project? And in this example, with the 30 days at 5K, that would be $50,000 at the end in profit if you did kitchen. $120,000 here. And then if you're looking at floors, 2K, okay, that's 60K. So now all of a sudden the kitchen went from that we wanted to do because it's getting us the most revenue to, wait a second, well, we should probably be doing less kitchen and more bathroom, and then maybe pick up some more flooring, because timing also plays a role in this as well. So the next thing that we want to look at is the cash conversion cycle, or CCC for short. Usually what happens with the project is you bill, and then you give them 60 days to pay. And so we want to get away from that, and we want to bill to expense. So bill to expense just means that, hey, before we can get started on your job, we need X number of dollars right now. And then as we run out of money, we're going to ask you for the next payment. And then that way we can continue on. So that way you're not waiting 30 days, 60 days, 90 days after a job is complete to get your money. Because if you don't have your money, you can't pay your team, you can't grow into new locations, and you really can't take any risks if you don't have any cash on hand. And so we want to build to expense, meaning, okay, for different industries, it might look a little different, but you could say, hey, we want half up front, and then once we run out of that, then we're going to ask for our next payment, and then we have one payment on the end. We want to figure out ways to how can we get the money as quickly as possible. Obviously, the most ideal is charge them all up front and then have them pay before you even start the project. But that one, usually you're going to get some friction on. So this is a better method of you build to expense, and you make it due on the same day or before you can move forward. You make it contingent. Hey, we can't continue with the project until you pay us. The last one we want to look at is referrals. And so most people know about referrals. Most people are very aware of referrals, but I don't think they know how to price them accordingly. So a lot of times if you get recommended by someone else, you just say, thank you, that's amazing, that's great, and then you move on your merry way. What happens if you paid those people? And if you do, are you paying them the amount that you should be? So I think what this comes down to is your CAC, or your cost to acquire a customer. So let's say your CAC is $500, meaning it would cost you $500 in marketing spend and paying your sales team for customer that you'd bring in through your normal acquisition channel. But in this case, you're getting a referral. So why not give them a portion, or maybe even the whole $500? Because now you didn't have to go through all that yourself. Someone just brought them into you. Might as well reward them and incentivize that, so hopefully they bring more people to you. A key note about referrals and paying them: if you feel like $500 or whatever your cost to acquire customers too much to give to that individual, then maybe you can just comp them with services that you have, because you're giving them, in this example, $500, but in reality, it's only costing you maybe $100 to fulfill because your team an hourly rate. So that's another way that you can also say thank you for the referral and not have to break the bank at the same time. Now, I did promise you one extra bonus. And so the sixth one is to offer some type of a premium product or premium service. So like I mentioned before, if you're doing home remodels, there may be an upsell opportunity with the material that you're using. There may be an upsell with the amount of time you can guarantee it gets done in. But there are a certain percent of people that will take the upsell or the higher option. It's usually like 10 to 20%. So you could increase your margins just by having that offer available and on the table for them, instead of having just the one you're using now. And it'll also act as a price anchor for most other people looking at the different options available to them. And it'll help them justify the price that you have set, that usually most people go with it is. So there you have it. There's actually count it, 6 ways that you can increase the profits of your company without having to increase your prices. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment, let me know what other questions you have, and we'll get to it on other videos.